So is SDFC officially back? They are fourth in the West and came off a massive 5-0 win after 3 defeats in a row. This week, we go into an away game with a team we've already balled against, but we were not able to pull out the win. This time, things can be a lot different. And if SDFC takes this game, we are officially back in the talks of one of the best teams in the league, in the MLS. But can SDFC make adjustments from their first meeting with St. Louis? Who do we need to watch out for, and how will they set up their team? Does SDFC beat St. Louis this game? This is the Penalty Kick Podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Geo, and we need to get into all of that and more, but just one quick second, just a quick announcement. The post-game episode to the St. Louis SDFC game may be a little late from me. It's probably going to be coming on Monday instead of a Sunday. My bad about that, but I will be out of town. I'm doing a Ragnar race in Utah. I am a sucker for competition. I love competing, and I hope to beast it while I'm at the event. But y'all will have to wait one day for that post game. So my bad about that. But more importantly, we do need to get into this game. We do need to break down St. Louis. We need to talk about the last game. And just because we dominated last game 5-0 doesn't mean you can just, waltz up into this game, an away game from an opponent you did not beat last time, and think, hey, it's okay to take the foot off the gas pedal. No. I want to see us continue. I want to see us continue to push, have that intensity that we had all of last game. So, as a recap, we played St. Louis in our second game of the season. It was the first home game at Snapdragon, and it wasn't all too exciting. The game ended in a 0-0 draw. St. Louis sat back on defense, really parked the bus, and we really couldn't break them down. They literally got in front of so many shots, just compressed the field so much. We couldn't get through them. It was like it was a brick wall. And peep the stats that I'm going to throw up from the first game. Obliterated them in possession and shots. But they had more shots on target than us. We could not get good looks at goal all of that game. We were trying, we were pushing, but everything came from the perimeter. We could not break down their lines. We could not break down their defense. We really did have like a lot of long range efforts against St. Louis, but they crowded us out. And when we got into the box, it was no space or any shooting lanes to have good looks at goal. And as I mentioned, you can look at the stats on blocks. They had 9 blocks out of our 15 shots. They blocked 9 of those shots. We just could not get good looks. The problem was, and I've mentioned, a little bit of the problem sometimes on offense, it gets a little stagnant, a little bit uncreative, especially when a team parks the bus and they sit back defensively. Our offensive strategy, we want space. We want to move from back to front quickly because we have players that can run at you. And then we have a great center attacking midfielder in Luka that can distribute and still break down the lines as well. That does not sit well with our strategy. It's a differing style. They want to park the bus, sit back, get numbers back. And again, that doesn't leave us the space to run into, to be creative. We have to be more tight and neat with our passing and more intricate with our movement and better with the give and goes in tight spaces. So we need to see how these differing styles match up, and can we play a better game than we did last time. But you got to tip the cap to St. Louis. You got to give them credit for their solid defense, and it's our job to unlock that defense. I will say St. Louis, through their last 5 games, they have 0 wins, 3 losses, 2 ties. But herein lies the rub. In their 2 ties, they've tied against LAFC, a pretty solid team, and they've tied against Vancouver, the best team in the MLS right now, hands down, no argument. They know how to get a point. They know how to get sometimes timely goals. We need to make sure we do more than get a tie, because sometimes a tie can actually feel like a loss because you're dropping 2 points. But they're a struggling team. So I don't think we need to get this win, because last game they lost 4-1 against Seattle, a team we beat. Now, bringing up the full season stats, you'll see where a lot of their difficulties lie. On offense, they have 8 scored goals, 8 goals for. That is tied for third worst in the MLS. We have 21 goals scored. That's tied for third best in the MLS. So obviously our offense is so much better than their offense. Their offense really struggles. They've been really struggling to get goals and create good chances. But if you look at the defense or the goals against, we have 15 compared to their 12. They're a team that's under a lot of pressure in terms of other teams having possession, getting shots on their goal, but they're only allowing 12 goals. This just shows you how good their defense is. They stay organized. They stay compact. They play a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-3, but 2 of those midfielders often drop back to create a 5 defensive back line, which we could not do anything against last time. If anyone's going to bite us on offense, if you're looking at the St. Louis team, it's going to be their 2 center attacking midfielders. They usually play as center attacking midfielders, Hartle and Tuchert. They're the ones that can unlock, or they're the ones that can cause any team a problem. They're leading their teams. Both of those players are leading their teams in goals and assists. Everything that happens good on that team happens through them. And when I was looking at their team and our team, and, I just like seeing where each team maybe has weaknesses, each team has strengths. I think if St. Louis lines up in a 3-4-2-1, that's a very narrow formation. You play through the middle. I think our defense, the best part of our defense is through the middle. You have Godoy, you have Svedikov, you have McVeigh and McNair all down the middle. Our middle is solid. Where we're a little weaker is our wing backs. And I think if they want to maybe cause us a little more problems, they play a 3-4-3. So I really want to watch out on how they line up in a formation. That played us 3-4-2-1 last time, obviously earned a draw, had more shots on goal than us. So they might go back to a 3-4-2-1. I just think, to be honest, a 3-4-3 might actually cause us a little bit more problems. It keeps us a little bit more wide, and it puts a little bit more pressures on our right and left backs and, our wing backs if they play as such. But the stats, they don't lie. The place in the table does not lie. And watching the tape, it just doesn't lie. They're a bottom of the league team for a reason. We need to continue to prove we're back. A 3-game losing streak was out of character, and I don't think that happens again. And if Mighton is fit, I think we come out in the exact same lineup, which is going to cause them more problems, because Mighton can get by players. Mighton can put pressure on defense. Mighton can keep the defense wide because you're always going to have to track him. And then if he gets by defenders, or, defenders have to go out to him even when he doesn't have the ball, that opens up space. That's what we need. That's what we want. It's going to get Dreer more opportunities through the middle. It's obviously going to get Chucky more opportunities through the back post, or to make a middle run when Dreer vacates. Or it allows, Luca De La Torre to press up a little bit, because if they're going to be sitting back in a shell, you're going to need to bring players forward. And this brings me to Bombino and Willie, who I do think are going to be more solidified in the wingback positions going forward. I think it's a big, talking point of consistency. And I think those 2 will be our starters, with McVeigh and McNair, as much as humanly possible, even though we do have a very busy schedule in May. But we're going to need those players. I don't think maybe to overlap, but maybe to at least still move forward and get, deep crosses in from the wing. I think that might cause problems. We can get, a little more flooding in there, even though we're not a tall front line. Chuki, Dreer, Mighton are not tall, but you can still create chaos in the box. You can still get Godoy in the box. Sometimes you can bring Sverdkov in the box. So that might help. So I do think our right back and our left back are going to be more involved in offense because they're going to be playing against such a deep defense. I think if this game is a tie, it's going to feel like a loss. 2 points. The table is cramped all the way at the top, but a win will solidify us at the top of the Western Conference and one of the best teams in the league. And I think we can do that. Think we make another statement right here. This is a statement away game at a good time of the year. Another bounce back. And as you can probably tell, I expect us to win this game. And I expect us to do it at least as a 2-0 winner. But I think our front three absolutely show out for this game. I think it's a 3-0 win. SDFC continues to be one of the best teams in the MLS. So let's go SDFC. I'm your host, Mike Geo, and this is the Penalty Kick Podcast. I'll see y'all in the postgame.